In this part 2 that you guys asked for and said you wanted, I'm gonna put the externals on that guy right there. I'm gonna put the first cord on it, put the second cord on it. I'm gonna give you the best tips and tricks to do stuff like this. Come have a look. This is what I do. All this funny fancy stuff. I'm sorry for all my American friends, man. I speak Australian English with Australian numbers. I'm gonna take off 15 mil. Always cut from the factory edges. Cut all 4. Pretty good, bro. Another thing I like to do, I know that this side is gonna be in the in panel up there. So what I do from there is I cut it 45. Doesn't have to be too good. And I'm cutting it on the factory edge, not the part I just finished cutting. You wanna go from the plaster to the other plaster. And what you do from there is you add on an extra 2 millimeters, 1186. Always find the factory edge and always use the factory edge. It's gonna get technical, man. That's why I wasn't sure whether I wanted to do a part 2 or not, because this is the part where you need to pay attention if you wanna learn something. And you wanna make sure there's no funny bits. I'm gonna turn it around, cut from the factory edge again. I don't know if you can see that, but it wasn't the best cut right there. Just use the concrete, man. Send it back. So that's gone. Got my 45 there. Come this side, do the same thing. So I've got my piece right here, and I've got a random piece that I found on the ground. Always start from the top. You don't want that to be going past too far, so avoid that. What you do is pull it back a bit, do that 1 mil, okay? And you should be good there, so that's good. In Australia, I've used quick set base coat, so this ain't gonna go nowhere, man. You can trust me on that. I'm gonna tack this on, make sure you have a gap, and the same gap underneath. That means it's sitting in the center. Staple both sides there like that. So that's not gonna go anywhere, it's gonna be up there. You come this side here and do the exact same thing I just done on that side. Get your level, okay? This is very important. Making sure that this is level. This is the hardest part, everybody. It's gonna get real technical, but this is how I perfected my external angle, and this is how I have a sharp angle every time and perfect, okay? So you have to pay attention, because it's not something I can just break down in 2 minutes. I have to really explain, otherwise you're gonna get confused. Because I've only put a staple in the middle, I can adjust this by going up and bring this one down to suit. It's not too bad the way it's up. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna lock that in. You can use screws for this if you want. It's up to you. I just won't use screws for that. So I'm happy there. I'm gonna finalize that. I've done the back. I'm gonna leave the bottom. This time I'm going this way. And you wanna make sure it's level. Otherwise, if it's going on an angle like this, right? Because this is a walkway and it's an entry right in the kitchen in the main area, this is gonna be very noticeable. So you need to pay close attention to details like this. This is what's gonna ruin your job if you don't do this part right. What you do is you're trying to get as level as you can, right there. Because I can still adjust this. I can go up, I can go down, I can do all this sort of stuff. That's good there. I'm gonna lock him up. This is becoming a whole tutorial on how to put on double external angle, man. Okay, so it's not about tips anymore. It's how to put on double external like a professional. I changed the whole category around. So I've only done the face. I haven't done underneath. I'll show you why I'm gonna leave that for now. See that right there? Mwah, that's on the money. Stuff like this, if the frame is very bad and you can't get a level for some reason, it doesn't hurt to take this piece off and try to fix it up. I'm gonna lock it up. It's not gonna go anywhere now. I'm gonna give it life behind bars right there. So this is level, this is level. If you don't believe me, check this out. All right, you can see it. If I lift my piece up, so now it's touching the other bit, okay? They must touch, because what you're gonna see on this external angle is this part here. You're not gonna see any of this except for this point right there. So if they're not touching, you're gonna see that they didn't touch, right? Even once it's painted, I'm happy there. I'm gonna get my staple out, double check if I got that gap there. I'm happy there. I'm gonna lock it in. Oh, look at that. We'll do the same thing here. Okay, so I've done the top. I'm gonna do the bottom. And like, lock that guy in. Okay, it ain't going nowhere. And I'm just gonna repeat that process on all 4. Cue the music. You're always gonna start from the top. By the way, the level is not to level the external bead. The level is working like a straight edge, because you're trying to keep it straight. The only thing I need to make level is this here, because you're gonna see that levelness. Quick tip, I wanna be touching this external and that external at the same time, okay? And I'm touching that. I'm gonna lock this guy in right there. Obviously that one's already locked in. I'm gonna just lock it for life. And that's cool there. I'm just gonna come in the middle somewhere real quick and shoot that there, right? I'll give you the best tip I can give you when it comes to doing this right here. When you want to match up your external bead, because they need to match. I'm not so much looking at this point. I'm looking at this line here. Look at this mark here with that mark and try to line them, that little line up. That's a quick tip, man. That's gonna help you out and keep your external bead lined up almost every time. And lock that guy in. Cool. I'm happy there. And repeat the same process. I wanna make sure that I'm touching that metal over there, and I'm touching this one, but I'm touching that one as well. So everything is touching, and there's no gap in between anywhere. That's it there. So this back piece is done, okay? This part is important right here, this next part. Come have a look here, look. From this part to this part needs to match all the way through. That's how you get your straight line once it's painted. Because you're gonna see that metal, so I wanna make sure the measurement from the bottom all the way through is the same or similar. So see right there, that measurement is the same. It needs to stay the same. Right there, starting to change up a bit, getting to 205. This is what you do right here. And this is why I didn't do the bottom. Remember how I did the sides, but I didn't do the bottom? Just take that staple out, okay? So now it's a little bit loose. It can dance and jiggle. So I'm gonna get my tape up there. Obviously, I can pull it and go to 201. Don't force it where it doesn't want to be, man. Otherwise, it's going to create a funny looking angle, right? So what you do is, you just want to pull it enough, but not too much. I'm going to lock that in. Right there, that's good there. Do the same thing here. Cool. So that's good there, I'm happy there. I'm going to lock it in. Right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the same process like I did over here. Do it this side. So, cue the music. And we're gonna go there. So this whole thing is done. Now for the easy part. These two sides, I've got this and that. This is very easy. And the reason why I cut this off, everybody, when it comes time to trail, that's always gonna keep coming through. So you can avoid all that just by going on a 45-degree angle to the parts where you're gonna go tight into two internals, right? And then all I gotta do from there is put it up there and kind of push it into the ceiling a little bit, just a little bit. All right, okay, make sure we got that gap there, same place here. I'm happy there. Lock it in. Okay. How cool is that, bro? All right, so now the X is on. Show them that the X is on. Yeah, because I'm gonna give you my best tip on how to keep your external nice and sharp and sexy, bro. You know what I'm saying? So stay tuned for all that. I'm gonna go mix up, and I think you should follow me, guys. All right, let's go. This is some old base I have. Hopefully it's still all right. You never wanna dump the gear into the bucket, into the water. Always sprinkle that gear in there. This is my secret to having a sharp corner every time. So you don't want the tape going past that metal, man. I'm gonna come a 45 so that it definitely doesn't go past the metal. And this is what you do with every internal. You put a gear on. Alright, you wanna have it thin, but not too thin that you can see the plaster. But thin, you don't have to push it too much when you put a tape on. Put that tape in, see that 45? Told you that's a miracle. Right where it needs to be. I'm gonna hold it and then clean it up. Always tie your tape to a 45 if it's gonna go into a tight space. Always start from the top. Put a gear on. You wanna do both X's at the same time. I always leave the inside for last, and I'll tell you why in a second. I'm gonna clean that up there. Come up like this. So that's good there. I'm gonna come from this end to finish that off. You have to see this metal on every single coat you put on. Otherwise you made a mistake. Same thing here. Put that down. So here, I don't wanna swap up until I have enough gear there. Look at this, look. It doesn't matter how good of a trialer you are, how good of a drywaller you are. This is what I always say. You can afford to go over that 10 times, putting 10 coats on it. What you can't afford is to overfill it and trying to scrape it back flat. Don't ever overfill. It's gonna be a pain in the ass, especially if you're using base coat. You can't sand base coat and it doesn't shrink. Don't overfill your external bead, especially a double external bead like this. I'm gonna come to the back. Getting that metal there. So I'm gonna get my stapler real quick. If you see it, get rid of it straight away. You don't wanna come back after your second coat and trying to fix it. It's too late. See, when the 2 points meet nice and good, it makes it easier to trail. And it also looks better. The reason why we get the two sides first is because we don't want this gear falling into the inside. driving. Now I want to make sure that this corner is not overfilled. That's just a staple. I'm gonna take that out when it's dry. A bit of gear like that. Go back into the corner and finish it off. I'm happy there. Gonna do the same thing on this side. Wanna be filled, but not overfilled or underfilled. Just fill that middle up. So obviously this is already taped up here. That's how you keep it nice and sharp. If this wasn't taped, I would have taped this as well when I was doing the other one. You're better off leaving that, let it dry and scrape it off. Don't try to clean it off now because it's gonna create more work. To show them what it is real quick. When you come back, we're gonna show you another step. The very crucial point of this is not just to put the gear on, is to scrape it properly, because if you don't scrape it properly, you've made a mistake. Because it's base coat, you don't want to wait for this to set. You don't want it to dry up before you scrape. Trust me guys. You want to scrape this right when it's setting. It's easy to scrape. See what I'm doing right there? It just comes right off. This is when you want to scrape it. Look how easy it's scraped. Make sure you get the middle, always have a feel. If you find any lumps and bumps, you need to focus on that. Make sure it's nice and flat. This is easy to scrape. This is hard. You gotta start here so you can shape it. This is gonna get covered with a second coat, but the fact that you can see that metal means I didn't have enough gap. This is a quick tip. Once you scrape everything, scrape this corner here too, using your 3-inch. You know what you wanna do is make sure you're touching up there while you clean it up. You need to create that line and bring that line back by touching. Make sure you're touching, that way it's nice and square. You need this to be nice and sharp from all angles, man. Getting rid of these guys here. You have to get rid of all these guys here. They all gotta go, otherwise they're gonna come through your top coat. I mean your second coat, your top coat. They're gonna keep coming through. It's gotta be nice and flat. This bottom here, that's all gotta go too. Scrape that back. See, because it's base, it's turned into a rock again. Right, you gotta scrape all that off. That's gotta go too. Scrape all that off. There's a little staple there, I'm gonna take that out. Look, it's no longer needed. It was just there to hold the metal until the gear sets. Now, so scrape, I'll give you a quick tip. I actually get the broom out and I sweep it. I sweep my external angle. See all these bits I get from my scraping? They're everywhere. You sweep it off. It's gone. It's gonna save that from going into your gear. I got tips on tips on tips, man. And I'm gonna mix that base. Go all the way up to where you're gonna go. Go down. I'm happy there, grab it, cut it. Now look, there's two sides of the business. There's the affordable side and the expensive side. We're gonna do the affordable side. Look. I'll close my eyes, look. Check it out, Can-Am. Send this through, thank you Can-Am. Cool, let's get it dirty. Sounds like something. Good. See that guy in there? Very, 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 very good. See it right in the middle, and it just slides down effortlessly. See how I said effortlessly? I feel cool, man. I'm not even educated. So now I've pushed it hard enough, I'm gonna push it extra hard. Extra hard. Oh. Didn't work out. So, I've got my internals done using Can-Am tools, right? If you wanna learn how to do it by hand, definitely check that video I did explaining it step by step. I'm not gonna put any water in that. It's a new bucket, I just opened it. I'm gonna mix it as is, right? So obviously it's a little bit dried up on the top. It was crusty. Right. Second coating is the same as first coating, except you gotta make sure there's no rocks in your gear, everything is nice and straight, it's not overfilled, and I'm not using base, I'm using all purpose. And I do that on purpose because with all purpose, I can send it back flat. Okay, whereas base, you can't do that. I'm not gonna explain too much because the same steps as the first coat. instead of using all-purpose to top coat, you use final coat, which is a little bit easier to sand than all-purpose. I'm gonna cut this video. I'll come back when it's all topped, all final coated. You know what it is, guys. You gotta sand.
I got my mask on, I got my sanding machine, and I got a vacuum over here. I've been sanding all day, so I think I know what I'm doing. Check this out. I'm gonna sand this real quick.
If I was to do a video on sanding, it would be another 20-minute video, and I just don't want to waste any more of your time. So the key points here is to use your hands while you sand to feel how flat it is. You need a light like this to see what you're doing. You don't want to put your light directly at your work. You want to go on an angle like this so you can see it. You're not going to be able to see it if you go like that. Go on an angle. Definitely make sure you have the brightest light of all bright lights. In the morning or in the afternoon when the sun is setting or rising, it comes on a very weird angle like this, and it's going to expose all your work. So what you're doing right now is mimicking that light from the sun by going on an angle, so you make sure there's nothing on it. That way when that sun hits it, it's already nicely sanded. So this is fantastic, it's perfect. I can see my metal bead is nice. Right there is nice and flat and sexualized. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wish you could feel this right now. I'm gonna show you the finished product later on when I'm done sanding, because I can't do a video on how to sand. It's gonna take too long. This video is already way too long. And gee, that's how you pretty much have it, man. You gotta let me know what you think in the comments. If this video did help, I know it's the longest video I ever made, but I was just trying to help. This was part 2, part 3 put together just for you, so you can see how he gets down and how that he does it, which is me, and how I get it done and get it done. Ooh, how I get it down and get it done. You know what I'm saying, guys? This was all fun to me, man. It's exciting, okay? If you're new on this page, make sure you follow, all right? Check out my YouTube channel. I'm on TikTok, Instagram. I'm everywhere. All you have to do is follow and get all this free content. You don't gotta pay me, bro. And you get all this knowledge for free. Make sure you follow. Hey, that's how you do it, man. Double external angle, shooting from 20 different sides, square set internal, all there, man. There you have it, G. Adios and peace out. Make sure you follow, G. I'm going. I'm not gonna come back.